Hi, my name is John. I create sound effects and music for Angry Birds games at Rovio. In this lesson, I will tell you about podcasts and creating audio content. I will share with you why podcasts are great and how to make one. I will first introduce you to what podcasts are and why they are great. Then I will teach you how to create a podcast. Finally, we will learn how to share your podcast. Let's begin. So, what is a podcast? To put it simply, podcasts are radio shows on the internet that anyone can easily create and share. In podcasts, people talk about all kinds of topics, for example, food, sports, or movies. Podcasts can also be just any interesting story told by people. The great thing about podcasts is that anyone can make a podcast, including you. Making podcasts is a great way to share your own story with the world. They are very easy and fun to make. Besides, it is relatively easy and affordable to create podcasts. All you need to do is to record your voice and put it on the internet. Podcasts are not only fun, but they can also help you grow your business. For example, if you are in the business of baking cakes, in your podcast, you can explain your favorite cake recipe. Or you can ask questions to someone you know who is great at making cakes, for example, your own mom. As you do so, you're attracting people who are interested in your cakes to your own business. At the same time, you show everyone that you are great at what you do. Choosing a topic for your podcast is important. Not only the main topic of your podcast, for example, cakes, but also specific subjects you want to talk about in each episode. Remember, the best podcasts run for multiple episodes. For example, in one episode you can talk about a certain recipe, and in another episode you can choose to talk about how to take delicious-looking cake photos. Or you can interview someone different on each episode. One thing to remember is to understand who your audience is. If you really know what they are interested to hear, you can serve them better content. If it is very clear what your content is about, it becomes easy for your audience to find your podcast. Now you know that having continuous episodes is the best way to start a podcast. You should plan your episodes in advance. Think about how frequently you can create one episode. Once a month is a good start. If you find that it is possible, you can always try making episodes more frequently, such as once a week. You should also plan what kind of episodes you want to make. Do you want to talk about a topic yourself? Do you want to interview someone? Or do you want to discuss a topic between your friends? All are great options to pick. Did you know that you can advertise other companies or brands in your podcast? This way you can earn some money and support your business. If you make money from your podcast, it becomes easier for you to invest in making better content in the future. Here are some tips. Podcasts usually take between 10 to 30 minutes. Thinking about your subjects beforehand and taking notes is a great way to get prepared for your podcast. Remember to check your notes during your podcast sessions. Finally, listening to other podcasts is a great approach if you want to learn more about them. Discover interesting podcasts on the internet and try to figure out what you like about them. Maybe you can use some of those ideas in your own show. Now you know what a podcast is and why they're amazing. Let's learn how to make our own podcast. All right, here we go. There are a few different ways of creating a podcast. However, there are a few key tools you will be using. First, you need a microphone. A microphone is a device that captures sound, such as your voice. Second, you need a recording device. A recording device stores the sound captured by the microphone. Finally, you need an editing program on a computer to finalize the sound. If all of this sounds too complicated, don't worry. Fortunately, if you have a smartphone, you already have all you need. Every smartphone has a microphone and a recording application called a voice recorder. This means that if you have access to a smartphone, you are ready to record your first podcast. All you need to do is place the phone somewhere close and press the record button. For a clean recording, make sure you are in a quiet place and there's not too much wind noise. Try to talk with an audible voice. And here's a pro tip. You can also connect a microphone to a phone for a better quality sound. It is good to know that smartphones are not the only easy way to record podcasts. You can produce even better sounding podcasts using a device called a hand recorder. Hand recorders are small devices that are specifically built to record sound, and they are very easy to use. When using a hand recorder, try speaking at different distances to it and see how it changes the sound. Half a meter distance is a good start. You will also find a button to adjust the sound volume. Use it to get a good volume that is not too high or low. Finally, it is also possible to record sound using a computer. All you need to do is connect a microphone to a computer and then use a recording program to capture the sound. You can use a type of microphone called a USB microphone and connect it to a computer. You can also use a headset, which is a device that combines headphones and a microphone. Headsets are very affordable and very easy to find anywhere. I mentioned that you also need a sound recording program to be able to record sound to a computer. There are some free-to-use recording programs you can download from the internet, such as Audacity. You can use Audacity with any computer to record sound. Once you have a microphone connected, press the record button in Audacity to record your voice. Let's quickly go through what we have learned so far. You can record your voice using one of these options: using a smartphone and a voice recording app, a hand recorder, or a combination of a computer, microphone, and a recording program. Okay, in a second we will learn more about recording a podcast with a smartphone. But before we go into details, here are some tips to record good quality sound. A quiet background is very important for a clean sound. Find a quiet place without too much background noise. This could be a quiet room. Remember to close the door to prevent any noise. Speak with an audible voice, not too low or high. About half a meter distance to the microphone is a good start. If you face any technical difficulties when recording your voice, ask your teachers for help. Now we have learned how to record a podcast. It is time to share it. But how does that work? Now I will teach you a very easy and free way of recording and sharing your podcast using a smartphone. Anchor is a free platform where you can both record and share your podcast. You can use Anchor either on a computer or on a phone. We will use Anchor on a phone to create and share our first podcast. First of all, install the Anchor app on a smartphone. Once you have it installed, open the app. You will need an account to use the app. Create an account using your email address. If you have a Google account, you can also use that to sign in. Once you signed in, Anchor will ask you to give it permission to use your phone's microphone. Allow it. Now you are ready to record. Anchor will allow you to make a podcast trailer. A podcast trailer is a short introduction to your podcast. First, make sure you are in a quiet place to record. Press the record button and keep the phone next to your ear as if you were talking on the phone. Start talking, and when you're done, move the phone away from you. And that's it. We are done recording. Anchor also allows you to add background music to your podcast. Feel free to use any of these if you like. Then, we will add these things to our podcast. A title for the podcast. A name for the internet address of the podcast. A description of the podcast's content. A cover art. A podcast category. Language of the podcast. Remember that you can always change and finish these details later. Now we created the podcast trailer, we can go ahead and record your first episode using Anchor. Press the plus button and record your first episode using the recording tips you have learned. Once you are done, press the publish button. Add episode title, description, and other details. You can even use a new picture for each episode if you want. Finally, add some tags so people can find your podcast easily. For example, cake or baking. Congratulations! You have published your first episode. Now, There is one final thing you have to do. Share your podcast. Share the links to your podcast episodes on your webpage and social media accounts such as Twitter or Instagram. A few last tips before we finish. Don't forget to add these things to your podcast episodes. A catchy title, a short but informative description, a delicious cover photo, and finally, an advertisement from your favorite brand. And don't forget, you can ask questions to your listeners to engage with them more closely. For example, what kind of recipe do they want to prepare next time? Let's summarize what we have learned. What is a podcast? Why they are valuable, and why you should create one. How to easily record a podcast. How to publish and share a podcast for free. There you have it. Now you know everything you need to create a great podcast. I hope you learned something. Thank you.